So, and the European lobster. These two guys look very similar. The diagnostic characteristics, features that you can use to tell them apart, sometimes, are that the American lobster has a tooth under its nose, and the European lobster doesn't, but it sometimes has this white spot on its shoulder. Now, they're not reliable, unfortunately. You'll get European lobsters that look like American lobsters, and American lobsters that look like European lobsters. And the only way to tell them apart, really, is to take them into the lab and look at genetics. Somebody here has been trying to wind me up already. This is an advertisement on a bus hoarding that Mike found that was sent by the crewman from the Homarus fishing industry research vessel. This is an advertisement for Canadian lobster in Bridlington, right? That's the capital of lobster in England. Advertising Canadian lobster at £5 for a whole cooked lobster. What? Really? You imagine if you were walking down the main street in Maine and you saw an advertisement for European lobster in America at £5 for a whole cooked lobster. So, just some facts, just some basic. I didn't realise, so I read this wonderful book by somebody called, I think, Kathy Billings, The Maine Lobster Industry. You get it on Kindle, about £9. That's about $9 nowadays. But you've been exporting lobsters by plane to the European Union since the 1950s. I mean, that's amazing. It's incredible. But annoyingly, look at the prices. So these two lobsters here, that's Canadian lobster, that's Canadian lobster. The price that's paid, that you would pay to buy that, is £41 or £36 per kilogram is what I would pay to buy that lobster in the UK. If I want to buy a lobster from 200 yards down the road in the harbour in Bridlington, it would cost me £42. Okay? That seems bonkers to me. That seems completely mad. Okay? The price paid on the quayside is about £10 a kilo for lobster in Bridlington. The price varies, the same as it does here, it varies with the time of year. Sometimes you get a good price at Christmas, really bad price in the summer. Different parts of Europe, but that's how it works for us. The US exports about 20 million lobsters a year to the UK. Our landings in Bridlington, the Maine of England, 1 million lobsters a year. So there's a whole massive difference in scale there. Most of our fisheries is concentrated on the live lobster. We don't very little in the way of processed. It's all posh nosh. Okay, no pub grub, like your processed lobster. You've all seen this figure again and again and again. This is this massive growth in lobster landings. Okay, so this is the American massive growth in lobster landings. This is the European massive growth in lobster landings. we're a bit of a big player, really. I was looking at the videos that Wynne Watson showed yesterday, and he showed the lobsters crawling around in the traps that you use here. All you have is lobster. We have lobster, crab, velvet crab, whelk, starfish, hermit crab. Am I missing anything? Green crab, fish. You know, it's a mess in there. We don't see that kind of monoculture that you have. As Bob spoke about earlier on today, you know, you have a monoculture of lobster here. Really, that's something I would be concerned with that. Just saying, in Ireland, I expect here, and he would fish for whatever species were present at the time. So he could move from one species to another as the season and the market dictated. Kind of lost that ability both here and in Bridlington, really. We're starting to struggle in terms of what we can do. You're probably not going to like this. This is where you start throwing chairs. I think the cumulative impact of the lobster fishery, and in our part of the world and yours, where we're putting traps in the water, we're changing bait every 3 days. There's a half a kilo of bait, it's about a pound of bait going into every trap every 3 days. You're replacing it every 3 days. You've got 300 million traps or something in this part of the world. We've got 100,000 traps along the 80 miles of coast in our area, and that's been replaced again and again and again. The cumulative impact of that, to me, I bet it's a different impact. It's not physical, it's ecological, but the cumulative impact will be every bit as strong as the impact of having draggers. You call them draggers. That sounds insulting. We call them trawlers. Okay, so having trawlers in the same part of the world. So I think we need to think of that. I mean, I've seen figures saying that you use 10 kilograms of bait for 1 kilogram of landing. I can't believe that. Is that true? 10 kilograms of bait for 1 kilogram of landing? That seems like an awful lot to me. That's a lot of bait to put in the water. So let's just get rid of that line that describes the American landing. This is a UK landing. So this is where we probably have some common ground we can share. So you can see that that we follow the same pattern as the Maine pattern. These are figures for the EU, but I'm sure it's not a different story here. So here we've got the price paid for different species of fish. We've got monkfish, sole, hake, and negro. These are the prices between 1998 and 2008. I don't have any more recent data. There's no massive spike there. That price has remained pretty much the same for those 20 years. Right? The grey bit in the background is the price of fuel. I don't know if that's familiar here. So fuel has gone up, quadrupled in price. All right, it's more now, you know, but this is a common picture. These are the prices for lobster that you get in the UK. So 1998, you got £9 a kilo for lobster. 2013, £11 a kilo. Right, so that's a £3 increase. I was trying to think about this in a way that I would understand. I remember buying pints of Guinness for £1.20 in 1998, and now they're £5 a pint. That's $5. Same. Okay. Same in our other fishery, the sort of fisheries associated lobster fishery, £1 a kilo. Okay, and it hasn't changed for the last 20 years. That has implications, doesn't it? That means that fishermen have to work harder. They have to fish harder. They're facing higher fuel costs, higher costs to tie up alongside. So they've got to catch more, they've got to be more efficient, they're forced to focus on maybe one species, and then they become vulnerable to change. When the prices are low for lobster or crab or whatever, they have to fish harder because they've got to keep themselves in business. So they fish harder. They've got, even though there's nothing, there's not much there. When prices are high, they fish harder because they need to make money. Right? So it's not a good place to be, in my view. I think Bob probably expressed that much more eloquently than I am at the moment. I think there's probably some elasticity in the price there, and I don't know how we would do it, but it would be really nice to take advantage of that. If we caught a bit less, we'd use less bait. If we use less bait, catch less animals, get a better price for them. I don't know how we get there, but to me that would be a sensible place to go. I'm not a member of Greenpeace or anything like that. I'm a fishing family and all the rest of it, but that to me would be a place to go. Right, so there's been a bit of press about the invasive American lobster, or Canadian lobster, in Europe. There are bans on releasing American lobsters in European waters. The problem is that people don't pay much attention to them, and we have a bunch of hippies, Buddhists, that release animals into our waters, right? Because there's a Buddhist ceremony which is about caring for life and releasing animals back into the waters from whence they came, but they're in the wrong place. You shouldn't be releasing that. It's a crime. You should not be releasing that. That's a wildlife crime. It's a difficult wildlife crime to pick up on. That's not something that your average policeman on the street is going to understand, that is a very different animal from another animal. And the public can't tell the difference between a Canadian or American lobster and a UK lobster. So the Norwegians have banned the import of American lobster. The Swedes want to ban the import of American lobster. The European Union is looking at it and considering it and thinking, maybe a ban's a bit strong, but maybe we need to try and think of something else that we could do. Maybe we need to not go be as stringent as a total ban, but is there something else that we could do? Why does that bother me? Well, I had a brief conversation with Bob Senek earlier on. It was interesting. I think we disagreed, but let's just have a look at these animals here. So these are a range of animals. You'll recognise a lot of these. I even put one in for the Antipodeans amongst us. It's the cane toad. Okay, so you've got grey squirrel. That's from the States. That came over to the UK. It's got disease. It's flushing out the red squirrel, which is much prettier, and then moving it. So it's only found in remote places in Scotland. Green shore crab. You're lucky to have that. I need to say thank you. Here's the signal crayfish. Signal crayfish has a disease. It's invading lots and lots of freshwater rivers and destroying habitats there. Chinese mitten crab. I could go on lionfish all about that one. Spartina anglica. That's something that's invaded. Here's one. Here's an interesting one. This is Palemon macrodactylus. Okay, this is interesting. I'll come back to that one. And sometimes you get spectacular species. This came from the Indian continent, Indian subcontinent. Rhododendron, okay, and it's now prevalent in Scotland. You can't get rid of it. Lots of conservation spend lots of energy every summer trying to get rid of it. Now this animal here, Palemon, has a distribution around the world now. It started here. Okay, it comes from the coast of China. It's now found in Europe, the Mediterranean. It's found off the west coast of the States. It's found off the east coast of the States. It's found in South America. That's where it's been noticed. This is a shrimp that looks almost identical to Paleomenites, which is a species that you get here. Okay? That's 3 minutes. Okay, so Paleomenites is a species that looks absolutely identical. There's probably about 4 people in this room that can tell the difference between that and Paleomon macrodactylus. Note the year scale. So that's 1954 is when it's first found. It's become more and more common. It's being found more and more often now because there's more shipping and probably because of climate change. It's being spread across the world. It's becoming established. One of the key take-home messages from this is every one of those blobs is where it was noticed. When it was noticed, further investigations showed that species had become established. Okay? It's not lobster, but it's just an example. Right, so here, get this to work. So, this is my Okay, so these are all the records of American lobster that have been noticed since 1960. It's cumulative, okay? So it's a bit of a, I'm being a bit of an exaggerator here, but it's the cumulative numbers of lobsters that have been found in the UK. So we've found about 100 lobsters in the not in the UK, in Europe since 1960. The first ones were found in Iceland, and they've more recently been found in Germany, France, off the coast of England, Sweden, Norway, all over the place. We don't know yet whether they're surviving and crossbreeding and reproducing yet. We're not sure. I mean, they found an animal that had mated with a local lobster and had hybrid eggs. We need to do, we can't just say, well, that's all right then, it'll be okay. We need to think carefully and think, right, what can we do? You know, what do we need to know? All right, maybe you don't bother. Maybe you don't care about that. You don't care about invasive lobsters in Europe. Doesn't matter. But you might care about this. This is what the housewife's view of the Maine lobster is likely to be if they continue coming into our waters. These are lobsters with that horrible shell disease. Okay, those are the ones that are likely to be dragged up from the bottom because they've been released by some hippie. Okay, they died, they crawled into a trap, and they'll start seeing these. Is that the image that you want Maine lobster to have in the rest of the world? Okay, I view Maine lobster as iconic. You know, it's one of the, I grew up on a lot of the work that I've read. Atkinson, you know, one of my heroes in terms of social science and fisheries, you know, that's not the image you want to be seeing. So we think that the European lobster is resistant to this disease. It's got thicker carapace. That's Charlotte Davis' work there. You can have a look at that. That's been published in this. I'll rush. Okay, you might not care about that. We've seen a bit of this already this week. This is nicked from a recent paper by Kleisner, and it just shows what's going to happen in the Gulf of Maine, or models what's going to happen in the Gulf of Maine over the next 100 years. Okay, it's warming up. Okay, so let's just take that as read. So it's warming up. It's warming up due to increases in carbon dioxide. It's climate change. Now, what drives increase in carbon dioxide? That's our activities. Here's an interesting paper from Susanne, he's called. I'm sorry I haven't put his name on here. But these are different methods of fishing. And these are the litres of fuel used per tonne caught of each of these species. Okay? You can see here that this is potting. Now that surprised me when I saw it. Potting isn't way down here somewhere. I assumed it would be right down there. But there's lots of little boats going out, lots of little boats with big engines from what I can see around here, going out fishing for lobster, using lots of fuel. Right? Okay, so that's quite high. Maybe that's nothing to worry about. What about if we add on the cost of moving those animals from here to Europe? So to carry 1 tonne of cargo, I've done it in dollars because that makes more sense than carbon dioxide. Okay, to move 1 tonne of cargo by flight from here, or from Boston to London, costs you £1,960. There's 10,000 tonnes of lobster going to the EU every year. Multiply that by 1,960, that's £19,600,000 worth of fuel that's being used to transport lobsters from here to the UK. Maybe you want to care about that. Maybe climate change is changing the lobster fishery. Maybe the lobster fishery is one of the contributors to that. So this is my summary diagram. Okay? So we have several issues. We've got live transport of lobsters from here to the UK. We've got this northward migration of lobsters from, the centre of lobster population is moving north up into the Canadians. Now, I asked somebody, why aren't lobsters found on the south coast of Greenland? Well, they can't get across. Apparently the Labrador Current, they can't get across the Labrador Current, it's really cold. What happens to tourists is the global climate change, Greenland opens up as a tourist destination, people start going to Greenland. What do you want to eat when you're on holiday? Lobster. People buy lobster. They buy lobster, and maybe they let one go because they think, oh, that's a cute little animal, let's let it go. I think, will it become established there? If it gets established there, then what happens? Could it migrate around the coast? Could it end up in Iceland? Could we see lobsters coming all the way across, marching across the Atlantic? Then we've got this problem that we're simplifying the habitat. You've already got a simple habitat, as I heard this morning. We're doing it ourselves. We're imposing simplification on our habitat by having this really strong lobster fishery. So, my very final slide, okay? You know lots. You've been doing it a long time. Some of my heroes are in this room. You know, my lobstering heroes, my crustacean heroes are in here. You've done lots and lots and lots of research, much more than we have, because there's more obvious, a bigger industry, there's more universities doing this stuff. What can we do together to try and help solve this problem, which could be a real problem, right? One of the things is, could we change the way we process lobster in a way that makes the processed product as valuable as the live product? Biosecurity. Can we think of ways, can the Americans suggest ways that Europe could tighten up its biosecurity to improve things? What about if we do have the overlap of two species, what would that actually mean? That'd be really interesting work to do. You know, I'd really like to look at that. Lobster diets, can we use bioinformatic approaches to understand lobster diets here, lobster diets in the EU? Lots and lots of stuff that we could do together. I think the answer isn't in building walls. The answer is in collaborating, helping each other out, and we're all products of the lobster industry. And I'd quite like to stay there. I think that's it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Plenty of time for questions on the ferry ride over the island.